Yo, what's going on, everyone? My name is WowShane, and welcome into Your Favorite Game, the show where we talk about your favorite game. Today's game is Paper Mario for the Nintendo 64. We have a great video planned for you today. I hope you all enjoy. Let's get to it. Today's guest is Master of Disguide. Disguide, why don't you tell the wonderful people about your favorite game?
Pretty much my favorite game is Paper Mario. Just it's been a classic for me. One of the first that I've ever played. Most of the time I actually played on the original cartridge. And it's just my favorite because it came out when I was like 5, and other than some Sesame Street game with numbers and letters, it's the earliest I remember playing. And it just sparked my love for JRPGs.
Yeah, it's definitely a really fun game. Definitely very unique for the time. The paper aspect, especially when gaming was in a everything must be transitioned into 3D, and they were like, all right, 3D environment, 2D characters. Like, can you say this was like the original 2.5D game?
For JRPG, probably, because it was supposed to be SMRPG 2, but they went with the paper aspect, and I think it worked out perfectly.
So tell me how you play Paper Mario. Are you more of a casual player? Do you do speed runs, challenge runs, randomizers? What do we got?
Like, pretty much everything. Like, sometimes I'll just sit down and play it casually, go through it however I feel like it. I might do a challenge where I'll level up the health all the way to give it like survivability, but also make it harder because I have no abilities. Or recently I've been doing speed runs and they tend to fail, but just learning curves. And I've done a randomizer like once or twice, and they did a pretty good job creating it.
What about Paper Mario keeps bringing you back to it? What makes Paper Mario your favorite game?
Just how the combat is. It's just simple. You attack, enemy attacks. Back and forth. It's just simple. The storyline is good. It's just what I remember loving as a kid, and even like 20 some years later, it still just captures me with how perfectly they made it.
It's definitely very simple on the surface, but the battles, something that I had a lot of trouble with growing up in the battles themselves was the timing, because you have to press the A button right as you're about to land on an enemy, or right when an enemy attacks you, and I always went with the hammer, because the hammer you just had to hold your joystick left, and it was perfect for little baby WowShane.
Yeah, it takes time to get used to, but playing it so much that even on a different controller, after a few turns, I know it, because you just learn the timing for anything.
What is something that you would add to Paper Mario in order to make it a better game or a more enjoyable experience for yourself?
Pretty much the base game, I just add end game content, because it's one of those games that like you get to the final boss, beat it, and it just not exactly like a soft lock, but it just stops at the end screen. You have to reset to play it again, but it doesn't save your progress. Or some of the stuff that they added in mods, where from Peach's Castle to Bowser's Castle, where Peach's Castle is supposed to be, there's a pipe there, so you don't have to go all the way back through everything and taking like 20 minutes to get back to the hub world.
What is one thing you would remove from Paper Mario if you had to remove something?
It definitely would be some of the Peach stuff, and Chapter 8 seemed a little monotonous as you're just running through halls of Bowser's Castle, and it's just nothing really interesting. Like, go through this, and I'm like, oh hey, fight these enemies again, or another quiz. That just kind of make that a little bit shorter, and maybe add extra stuff to like after, because you get to Peach's Castle and you go fight Bowser, and that's the end of the game.
So it kind of seems like your removal and your addition kind of go hand in hand. Like, the end game is just a basic enemy gauntlet, but you want more things to do, kind of like side quests almost, for lack of a better term, or some optional super bosses like some later RPGs would add at the end game once you've beaten the final boss.
Yeah, and that's stuff that they've done in one of the DLC, or not DLCs, mods that I did, Darkstar Edition, that technically you beat Bowser for the first time, and then there's stuff like new content that they added into it, that there's harder boss fights and everything that makes it more enjoyable and wanting to go back to it.
I do know that in the base game they have an optional side boss. I don't remember his name or
the master.
The big Koopa guy, right? No,
Yeah,
the master's with that's the training dojo.
Yeah,
I forgot all about that.
Optional, you don't have to do that, but the turtle, he's honestly pretty easy if you know what you're doing.
I never knew what I was doing then, because I don't know that I've ever beaten him. Alright, so for this next question, you can answer both, or you can choose to only answer one. What is your second favorite game, and or what game is the most comparable to Paper Mario?
Like, probably my second favorite would be Ocarina of Time, just because it's from the same era, the 3D to 2D. It just captured the power that the Nintendo had at the time. And it's just another classic that you could just keep playing over and over again. Like, I've probably played through that, well, since I was 17, because I was deathly afraid of the Redeads. Where I could play through that many times and not get tired of it. And it's just comparable because it's the same genre in a way, because like, well, not genre, but the same era, and it just shows what this system was able to do and how games have advanced from the previous console.
I have kind of a weird history with Paper Mario. I played it a lot on the Nintendo 64 when I was growing up, but I was never really good at it. I'm not the best at RPGs. I've played some here and there, but it's not really a good genre for me. But my first playthrough, I made it to Bowser's Castle, and I was like super young, and me and my mom would play this together, and I would always be like, Mom, when are we going to progress? When are we going to do the next thing in the game? She'd be like, oh, I'm busy right now, let's do it again later, blah blah blah. And then one day, without thinking, I just sat down and played it and made it to Peach's Castle. And she was like, oh, you did this without me? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, oh, well, that sucks. And that made me so sad that I did that, because I just did it without thinking. And I was like, okay, let me go back through. But I had been taken down by the enemy like gauntlet through the end of the game, and I had like 5 HP, no items, and I wanted to go back so my mom could play through that part, and I never did that, and so we never experienced the end of the game. Years later, I did get it for the Wii Virtual Console, and I made it to endgame, but I kind of just got bored and stopped playing. Paper Mario is a fantastic game in my opinion, but it's not something that overly holds my attention, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I am definitely in the crowd of people who think Thousand Year Door is way, way better with improvements on Paper Mario. Not to say Paper Mario isn't as good as Thousand Year Door, but you know, it's on a higher end console, and they have what works from Paper Mario and what didn't work from Paper Mario, and they were able to build off of that, which honestly just makes it a perfect sequel for that game.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It was perfect that it captured the same like aspect of it and added to it like more battle effects, everything that the Thousand Year Door basically does is what you said, what the N64 couldn't do, enhances it and like makes it better, like battles more fun, good story, and everything that was good about that, they enhanced it to make it even better.
Alright, is there anything you would like to say about Paper Mario that we have not been able to cover yet?
Definitely recommend for anyone watching this to give the game a try, or if you've played it, do the randomizer, or even try out one of the mods before it, because it's definitely something in the mods add, whether it's a harder challenge or, like I was talking about, the like more endgame stuff and new things that Thousand Year Door had, but they modded the 64 version to have the same stuff.
Alright, Master of Disguise, why don't you tell the wonderful people where we can find you at?
You could find me on Twitch at Master of Disguise. I try to do stuff as much as I can, but usually I'm busy. It just kind of, to know when I'm doing that, just hit that follow button and turn on notifications for when I go live, because it's usually pretty random.
Alright, make sure you guys do go drop Master of Disguise a follow over on Twitch. And while you're here, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you all so much for being here. Have a great rest of your day. And thank you, Master of Disguise, for being a guest.
No problem. Thank you.